Hello, good evening, and welcome to the late night edition of Daily Record Hotline Live. As you can see, myself and Scott McDermott are in the studio. We intend to eat our way through this window.
Can't believe you've not opened Day Sensations yet.
Don't worry about it. Do you know what, Scott? See, last night's show, it was verging on car crash, right? I don't know if you saw it, but with Andy Newport on live from Ibrox when the lights went out. Then he dropped his phone. Then with Fraser Wilson live for Fir Park, and the stewards are shouting at him, "Yeah, you not got home to go to." So, and then Fraser kind of get lobbed out of Fir Park live on it. So, and I found myself getting stressed. So I've decided I'm not going to stress. This show tonight has the potential to be a stressful affair because there's so much to deal with, so much to address. But you're here, and I'm going to let you take the stress tonight. Okay?
Nah, I'm not the type to get stressed, Jackal.
See, the thing is, I then went and watched Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and there was a woman on it that I don't know if she was a celebrity, obviously, but I didn't know who she was. But she stressed me out even more because she burned through 2 lifelines getting to $1,000. So I feel as if my stress levels are running high.
Like yesterday, I didn't see the show yesterday. I was actually on a race course in Ireland yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And if you'd have got me on, it would have been even more shambolic, trust me. State I was in.
Right, well, this is a stressful moment for everybody, actually. Well, not for everybody, but for some people in particular. We've got some news for Celtic fans. Might as well start with this at the top of the show. Just before we come on, Scott spoke with someone in at Celtic. We believe that Celtic will be active right up until 11 p.m. tonight, right up until the deadline, trying to get a striker and on board. But, and it comes with a caveat, the Celtic are aware, quite frankly, that, quotes, we are running out of time.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a kind of realisation that Celtic fans aren't going to be happy if this window shuts and they don't have a Kyogo replacement. We think that the deal for Jeffrey Schlupp, who looks as if he'll be a stopgap kind of left back in the event that Kieran Tierney's not going to transpire, which it isn't. So Jeffrey Schlupp looks like coming in as left back, 32-year-old, formerly Leicester. They're getting him from Palace. But there's even a slight suggestion that there might be a last-minute hitch on that one. So it's all to play for in this, what's left of this transfer window.
Well, it's all a bit last-ditch, which I don't think is what Brendan Rodgers would have wanted, to be honest. And you're right, I mean, in terms of the striker situation, it just seems unbelievable that they would sanction the Kyogo deal for me, not having a replacement.
It's worse, it's a little bit worse than that, isn't it? Because as Brendan Rodgers has admitted, they've known about the Kyogo. It wasn't as if the Kyogo thing blindsided them.
Exactly.
He'd been wanting away, according to Celtic, for a number of at least 2 windows. So yeah. Listen, it's not easy to get these deals done in January, especially for a striker. But you would have thought that Celtic might have had something in place.
Look, we know they've been seriously interested in Kvistgaarden at Brøndby and also Strelec at Slovan Bratislava.
Yeah.
But anyone, even us doing a wee bit of digging around those deals, speaking to people in Denmark at the weekend, spoke to somebody else today about Strelec. I mean, everyone knew the money it was going to take to get these guys out, so Celtic must have known that, and they've obviously thought it's too expensive. And listen, I'm not criticising them for walking away for deals if they don't think they're getting value for money. The other one, obviously, they've went for is Iheanacho. There's been a bit of interest in Iheanacho.
There was a very big push. There has been a very big push over the last couple of days, is my information, to try and get a deal done for Iheanacho.
Yeah, but again,
but they lost out.
Listen, Iheanacho might have been a good sign for them, but he's no somebody that'll have been on the list for months, or somebody that the scouting department have been working on. No, that's a Brendan Rodgers signing.
It's like Kasper Schmeichel, isn't it?
Exactly. So I think that's what will disappoint Celtic fans. And the Schlupp one, again, you say that, I mean, it's a stopgap. Whether Celtic fans will be happy with that, I'm not so sure. listen, he's a good player, got good pedigree, proper Premier League player, hasn't played a lot of minutes this season. He's versatile, he can play it anywhere on the left, whether it's left back or wide left. He can even play centre mid or centre forward if you wanted him to. But again, getting into this window, is it really what
Listen,
Brendan
there's
Rodgers
drama
will hope
happening
for?
here. Scott Burns has joined us, but he's just taking a phone call.
And he's got a phone in his ear, something's happening.
So look, you know, over the next, well, it's less than an hour now, isn't it? In an hour's time from now, we'll know what this window looks like. I mean, there's lots, and we'll deal with it at other clubs across the top flight. But I think it's fair to say at this minute in time, Celtic is where all eyes are on. Just because there's a realisation, and I think there's quite a bit of mounting anger from Celtic fans. And maybe I went early, Scott. I think about a week ago, I'm sitting here saying Celtic have absolutely smashed this. They've got Jota back. Yes, they've lost Kyogo, but Kieran Tierney should be back before 11 p.m. tonight, and that hasn't happened either. So what looked like a really cleverly put together window is starting to feel not that.
Well, you're now asking the question, Jacko, are Celtic better off coming out of the window as they were going in?
And they're not.
I would suggest not.
No, they're not.
I'd suggest not.
Scott Burns is clear of his phone call. Scott, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Are you right?
Yes, I heard the phone going there. I thought that was getting dramatic.
My
What
wife
news?
was asking if I was wanting toast before my bed.
Right, Burnsy, listen, we've got less than an hour.
No, in all seriously, that phone call there, I know you were talking about there's a bit of doubt over the Jeffrey Schlupp deal, but no, there's not. It's all
done.
agreed, medical done. I've just had an emoji with a dancing Donald Trump emoji, so it's,
A dancing
as far as I'm
Donald
aware,
Trump?
It's all done. Yep. Don't ask anymore. But that was after that was after. Yes, all agreed.
Right, okay. Well, at least that's one put to bed.
So that should be announced very soon.
Right, okay. In terms of what Celtic are looking for, Burnsy, yes, I think that Jeffrey Schlupp, and by the way, excellent player, brilliant engine. I remember him, just motors up and down the pitch. So I know he's 32. I think that's an okay signing, but it's not really what the Celtic fans are hoping for tonight, is it?
I think that everyone's hoping and pining for another centre forward. You know what I mean? I believe, I'm told that there's been a couple of moves, but as it stands, I don't think they're any further forward. What we're 50 minutes away from the deadline, so interested to see what happens. But I know there's been a few clubs lining up to take Johnny Kenny on loan, but that was in the proviso that Celtic.
Well, that'll not be happening.
And as it stands, that door's closed. So unless there's a late deal and a rabbit pulled out of the hat, I mean, it's looking unlikely. But as you say, Celtic are still working on things up until the deadline. So, and you never know what's happening with the English clubs at the last minute. Where quite often, more often than not, that there's players deemed surplus to requirements.
One thing that I think we can dispel right at the start, Burnsy, is that there was rumours flying around on the internet that Peter Lawwell, Chairman Peter Lawwell, had joined a delegation that had flown to Heathrow this afternoon looking to get some late business done. That just wasn't the case. I'm pretty sure that Peter Lawwell spent the afternoon with his granddaughter. So no, that wasn't the case, and that's a bit of a red herring, and it's probably set the hair running for people expecting that there might be some mega deal getting done in London today, but that doesn't look likely. But we are told, Burnsy, and I'm certainly told, that Celtic have not given up, they've not gone to bed, they're going to be pushing right up to 11 o'clock.
But these days anyway, it would be Brendan Rodgers and Michael Nicholson doing the deals, isn't it? Because Peter Lawwell's taking a bit of a back seat these days, so those two are the power brokers, aren't they?
Yeah. So Burnsy, what else have you got for us? What else are you anticipating over the course of the next 50 minutes or so?
I mean, the one name that was banging about in terms of Celtic was the striker Danny Ings at West Ham, but I don't think the fact that we know he was on the bench tonight, but I think that was always a long shot. My understanding is that probably relations between West Ham and Celtic are not the greatest at this moment in time over West Ham's move for Daniel Cummings. I mean, they've agreed a pre-contract with the Celtic youngster, and they've made a couple offers for him, which would have been far in excess what they would get in compensation when he's out of contract in the summer. But Celtic have rejected those deals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that looks, well, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. It looks like you'll have to remain at Celtic until the summer and make the move to the English Premier League at the end of the season, sort of thing. So,
okay.
But I don't really know. I understand. Will Celtic continue to play Daniel Cummings, even though he's agreed a pre-contract with West Ham, sort of thing? Would they not be better taking the money now? I mean, more money and add-ons than keep them till the summer? I don't know. I mean, I don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers didn't speak, not unkindly. I think he was getting a bit frustrated that Daniel Cummings was taking advice from agents and being impatient. So if there is a sort of fracture in relationship between the manager and the player at this point, he's unlikely to feature much in Celtic's first team either. So strange one.
I think Celtic have missed the boat a wee bit with Cummings, Jack. I mean, the boy's been there since he was 5 years old. I think he has been patient in waiting for his chance. I mean, Scott might know more than me, but I mean, it wasn't that long ago that Celtic actually offered him a new contract, and I believe it's well short of what West Ham are offering the boy. And like Scott, I just don't understand if West Ham have made an offer of 500, 600 grand just now, and Celtic are going to lose him for 350 in the summer. Why would you not take the money just now? So there's clearly, it feels like there's a bit of bitterness there, and there is a real kind of fractious relationship there, and it doesn't look as if it's going to end well for Celtic, because like Scott says, I expect the boy Cummings to go. But I think it's maybe been a wee bit harsh criticising the boy. I think this is a massive move. Probably feels as if a bit underappreciated, a bit undervalued by Celtic. But it ties in with the whole striker thing at Celtic. As Scott says, Johnny Kenny is probably somebody they look to get out on loan again. They can't do that now. Cummings probably isn't going to feature because of the kind of contract situation we spoke about. So Celtic are going into the second part of the season with only Adam Ida as the recognised striker.
Yeah.
A Champions League game against Bayern Munich.
And Dyson Maida.
Yep.
Right, Bunsey, anything else before we let you go and get a cup of tea, and then you can come back and join us later?
Aberdeen? At 10 o'clock, just finally in Celtic, at 10 o'clock there'll be nothing more on Kieran Tierney. So it looks
it's
like
not happening, Bunsey.
He will be remaining at an Emirates, certainly until the summer, but unless something happens in the next 45 minutes, but that looks unlikely.
I'm told that Arsenal are just not budging on it and won't budge. Yep. And I think Celtic acknowledge that now.
Yeah. So Aberdeen certainly seem to be the busier of the teams coming up to the deadline there. They've managed to sign a couple of players today. The Palestinian striker, Odi Dabaga. Easy for you to say. And the Dutch defender, Mats Noster, formerly of Ferencvaros. So they've got a couple of signings in, and there's a bit of rumbling just now that Duke could possibly be out on his way before the end of the window.
To Leganes and
Leganes,
La Liga.
Leganes in Spain. Bear in mind that Leganes have been long-term admirers of him. They tried to get him in the summer, and in fact last January, I think it was, when they were pushing for promotion. So that one didn't happen then. The talk just now is about 600 grand for the deal, which 50% of that would need to go to Benfica. But in fairness, if the deal's on the table, it's still 300 grand. And probably Duke hasn't been anywhere near his best since he returned after going AWOL with the club after the summer. So if a deal can be done, it's probably best for all parties in that front. Aberdeen-wise as well, Angus MacDonald has terminated his contract.
Yeah.
He's expected to sign for Exeter, and Aberdeen's young teenage defender is set to sign for Nottingham Forest.
Lewis Carroll.
Yep. He's a 16-year-old Scotland Youth International, so it's another one of Scotland's clubs losing one of their best academy players to the English Premier League, unfortunately.
Anything else bubbling away? Anything else on the agenda, Bunsey, between now and 11? You got a curveball?
St Mirren were still looking for a striker there, but I just got a shout there to say that's them finished. They couldn't get a striker they wanted in. That might have been linked with movements at Celtic Park. You never know. But they've obviously signed the defender Ryan Elibou from KV Kortrijk in Belgium. But just one Hibs wise, they haven't done any business today. The Eli Johan deal to Stoke City, it collapsed. Harry McCurdy, I think, is going down south to Bromley, and Luke Amos is left. But one other one, just that hasn't really made the headlines yet, but I know that Hibs rejected a bid today and another one, an improved bid today and one yesterday. And that was from a top Belgium club. So it seemed like Hibs. There was also strong interest in Rocky Bashiri from the Middle East, but all interest and bids were turned down because Hibs couldn't. Basically, it was too late to try and get a replacement in. Bashiri's out of contract at the end of the season, and he's probably expected to leave. But as it stands, Hibs turned those deals down. But
okay, Scott. Well, listen, we'll catch you. We'll catch you at the top of the hour. I'll let you get away, make some phone calls, have a cup of tea, and we'll catch up later. Thanks, Bugsy.
Right. All the best, lads.
Cheers,
Scott.
Right, so
just another wee tidbit on Aberdeen, Jack. I know talking about Lewis Carroll there. Looks as if they might lose another one of the youngsters, young defender Timmy Akindeleni. He's wanted by QPR. I think the clubs are talking 17-year-old centre back.
Okay.
QPR are trying to get him done, so that's kind of in progress at the moment as well.
Right, a little bit earlier, Scott, I caught up with Andy Newport to discuss the transfer deadline comings and goings, such as they were at Rangers. Subsequent to that, I think Andy filed a story that Rangers have knocked back a bid for Ridvan Yilmaz. I think €1 million loan deal with an obligation to buy at €3 million in the summer from Besiktas, his old club.
Yep.
You surprised at that?
Slightly. I mean, Philippe Clement has always said in the last few months that he's wanted to keep Yilmaz. I think he'll be in a decent wage, Jacko, and he's no the first choice left back probably at the moment. It's Yefte who's come in, 20-year-old, kind of made the position his own. The Yilmaz has done well filling in, at right back or at times even further forward on the left, but I'm a wee bit surprised. I thought if Rangers, the way Rangers are operating now, the way they're trying to reshape the squad in terms of cutting the wage bill, as I say, Yilmaz no first choice and has problems with injuries. I mean, he's not been reliable since he arrived at Ibrox. So for that kind of money, a $3 million obligation to buy, I thought they might have considered it. Whether Clement thinks the squad is too threadbare as it is, even just for the rest of this season. They've obviously got a big European tie coming up, last 16 tie. So we try to keep as many kind of first teamers as he can, but no, I'm a wee bit surprised.
Right, well, look, let's see what Andy Newport reckons to this transfer window. I think it's fair to say it's not amounting to much from Rangers, but Andy Newport, I caught up with him earlier. Andy, it's I don't know, what is this, an underwhelming sort of a shrugging the shoulders transfer window for Rangers? How do you think they feel about the business that they've done in ins and outs?
I think the club, the board, the management, well, certainly the executive level will feel pretty satisfied with it. Whether or not the fans and Philippe Clement agree, that's another thing entirely. Underwhelming, I think it was always going to be underwhelming. I think this was always a window that Rangers were basically setting themselves up to, clear some deadwood, clear some money off the wage bill.
Did they get enough out? Did they get enough deadwood out?
Listen, I mean, I think getting Matondo off the wage bill, getting Kieran Tierney off the wage bill, if those deals become made permanent, I think there's caveats to the options that are included in that. I think, for example, Matondo, I think there's an option in there for him to move permanently, but only if they get promoted. I think there might be something similar with Dill's arrangement. not quite sure the fine print in that. But I think if they can get those guys off the wage bill for now and permanently in the summer, they'll be satisfied with that, because there were two players that simply didn't contribute anything really at all. I mean, Kieran Tierney, what was it, 40 odd games, a handful of starts. Matondo, 70 games, 8 goals. But I mean, generally, there are two guys that you'll struggle to remember in a Rangers shirt in a few years' time. So, listen, I think they'll be satisfied with that. In terms of others, maybe Tom Lawrence. I know there's obviously whispers about, say, a Rid van Yilmaz. I'm not sure he was ever going to be one that was leaving. I think there were. Pretty certain there was bids made for him at some stage over this month. But I think Rangers, given their lack of cover, certainly at full back areas, I think he was always going to be somebody that would have to be kept on. Tom Lawrence, I think in an ideal world they would perhaps have looked to have moved him on.
There was kind of suggestions about Tom Lawrence, wasn't there? And you're thinking that wouldn't be bad if Rangers, because he'll be another one on a substantial wage.
Yeah, and I think he'll be one of the ones that, okay, they've not managed to shift him this time, but I think come the summer he'll be sort of one that'll be told to sort of look elsewhere for a future club. And then maybe, obviously there's always chat about Cyril Dessers, but right now with Danilo never been injured, and frankly he's in a wee bit of he's had a purple patch as he tends to do now and again. I think he's proved his use. I mean, he's a player that will have most Rangers fans out, but now and again he had his uses, so I think he'll be kept on, obviously. So I'll say we
say all this, Andy, but we have to bear in mind that you never know what's going to happen before the end of this window. We might have to be scrambling you out your bed if Big Cyril lands a $4 million deal back to Italy.
Well, listen, I think it would need to be beyond that for Rangers to consider selling, because if you sell him, then you're left with just Danilo as cover, and we all know his injury record doesn't fill MD with confidence. But in terms of incomings, I mean, just Rafa Fernandez, we've seen very little of him having to get his first half an hour the other day against Ross County. But as I say, I think this was always a window that the Rangers board, certainly more, maybe not so much Clement or the fans, were just looking to scale things down and basically keep their money for the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think, listen, for the best will in the world, they're not going to win the league. The league,
no.
The Scottish Cup's probably at best a 50-50 shot if you were going to be kind, probably less than that. And then the Europa League is obviously another, they're certainly not odds on for that. So was there any sense in them spending money just to get through this season, when what they could do is, try and save some cash, give some experience to some of the younger boys who, have been absolutely starved of minutes lately, because there's frankly too many players on wages that are too high.
Blocking the pathway,
exactly. Which always, if you've got a guy in 22 grand, as Kieran Dowles understand earning, it's kind of duty bound to play him. If he's on that kind of level of money per week, then he has to play. Otherwise, it's a complete waste.
Yeah.
But I think what we've seen is that having something like that in the books, blocking something like Bailey Rice's path, was just completely counterproductive. So they've moved him out, and I think you'll see that they'll save it. Well, they are saving every penny they can get for the summer, when they're going to really need to invest heavily.
Well, they obviously did make one announcement earlier on today with regards to a player that will be joining in the summer, Andy.
Yeah, Lyle Cameron obviously coming in a pre-contract. Don't think it was ever suggested today. Certainly, the people I spoke to at the club, that was a deal that was going to be pushed through. I think they're quite content to leave it to the summer. Probably for Lyle Cameron's development's the best. He'll continue to play games. You couldn't, at this stage, you can't be sure that he would get those opportunities at Ibrox, so allow him to play another 20-30 games before the end of the season. Maybe not as many 30, maybe another 15-20 games before the end of the season, and then come to Ibrox in the summer, look to make an impact. Beyond that, I mean,
what do you make of that signing? Do you think he can hold down a place in the Rangers midfield?
I think he's a better prospect than Connor Barron coming in was. I think he's certainly more of a regular at Dundee than Conor Barron was at Aberdeen. I think Conor Barron was in and out in moments where he looked promising and other moments where you weren't quite sure if he was going to make an impact. Listen, I think if you were looking at the two players last year who were Dundee's most influential players, it would have been him and obviously Luke McCowan. I think Luke McCowan's the better of the two, and obviously that's why he's went for a few £1 million to Celtic. But listen, Rangers will hope that the promise he's shown at Dens, he can build on that. But again, it comes down to opportunity. You look at for how great Luke McCowan was in that dark blue shirt. He's been in and out of that Celtic team, even though he's been very good since he's went to Parkhead. Is Lyle Campbell going to get the same level of minutes that that he's getting right now at Dens Park? I don't think so. You've seen Conor Barron, kind of necessity. He played a lot of games at the start of the season because Nico Raskin was out injured, but since Raskin's come back to full fitness, it's been him and Mohamed Diamande in that midfield role. So, I say that if he can somehow break into that team and get the minutes, it'll be a good move for him. But really going to be the player that takes Rangers to that next level, I'm not sure. But listen, that's not to say it's a poor signing or it's not a signing they should be making. I think these are the deals that Rangers should be making in terms of...
They've ignored too much talent on their own doorstep, haven't they, for too long?
It works both ways, in terms of it helps your UEFA squad limits and, weakens some of your opponents in the league. So, and listen, if it's a guy that if they can polish him up, if they can develop him, and then perhaps, if he can't make it at Rangers, then they can look to sell him on and hopefully make back or improve on the £400,000 that Scott Burns is suggesting that it might cost him in the summer once the tribunal's been held. Andy,
not a lot of time left, but in terms of the other bit of business that Rangers did do was Zach Lovelace away to Millwall. Kind of feel as if that boy had plenty of potential, but another one who was just hit a roadblock because impossible to get sift your way through the deadwood to get into the starting 11.
I think he's been unlucky as well because if you remember last year when Stephen Davis was in charge for those couple of games, he came in against St Mirren, for half an hour, looked really, really good, really exciting, and then I think he tore his hamstring, was out for months and months. So came back in recently against Fraserburgh. I think won it in a couple of Europa League games. Didn't stand out a mile, but I think it's just one of these guys that you're right, just not played nearly enough minutes to get a real grasp on what his capabilities are at this level. Obviously, he was down at Millwall. I think he was in their first team at 15 or 16, so he'll hope he can go back down there and sort of kickstart his career. So it's just one of those things that happens sometimes when you're trying to develop young players. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Andy, I'll let you get back to your dinner. Now, we've been very kind to you. This is done as a pre-record. You've got the rest of the night off, unless, of course, the klaxon goes and we need to get you out of your bed. I'm waiting for this phone to ring, so listen, let's go and stay silent and I can enjoy this my tea. All right, mate. Thanks, Andy. Cheers, Keith.
Lighting the crisps. Sorry. Oh, good, isn't it? Right, Scott, just on other business that's been done today, St Johnstone have signed Stephen Duke McKenna, an attacking midfielder. We've touched on the Aberdeen. Hearts have signed Harry Milne. That was another one that Bunsey had flagged up previously.
Good signing.
Left back from Partick Thistle.
Very good. Good player.
On Partick Thistle, because one of the comments was asking any Partick Thistle news. Yes, actually, Harry Milne has left to go to Hearts. But also Scott Martin, Hamilton's captain, long-term captain. I think he's going to Thistle, isn't he? Falkirk, people have asked a couple of times, I've seen a couple of mentions about Scott Arfield. We believe that Scott Arfield is on the move, that he's left Bolton, and what we heard just shortly before we came on is it is possible that this possible return to Falkirk could be on the cards. Falkirk have also signed Miller Thompson on loan from Dundee United, so they're kind of tooling up for the big push, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think they've just signed Connor Allen as well and loaned him back to Celtic Hearts for the rest of the season. Arfield's an interesting one. I mean, he's always said that he wanted to finish his career at Falkirk, where it started. Mm-hmm. What a signing that would be for Falkirk in terms of going for promotion.
Motherwell have signed yet another goalkeeper. The third of the January transfer window.
5 on the books.
Callum Ward has signed, and Kilmarnock, I got confirmation again just before we come on that they have completed now a deal for Tom Wilson-Brown, 20-year-old from Leicester City. I'm told he, just double check, I'm told that he's a left-sided centre-half.
They've needed a bit of cover since Stuart Finlay got injured, obviously. They've been a wee bit short defensively. So, no, Derek McInnes is a good... his record's pretty good with young loan players coming up for England. He's had a few in the last few years, so we're hoping he's another one that can come in and make an impact.
Just checking here, left centre-back and can cover left-back. So that is kind of exactly what was required there.
Yeah.
Right.
Just on Kelly.
Yeah.
Obviously, Danny Armstrong is out of contract at the end of the season. Just another couple of clubs that I know are looking at him. And again, it'll be the end of the season. Interest, Polish club. How do you pronounce this, Jacko? Rako Trzaskowska of Poland.
That sounds good.
And
You just made that up.
and Boluspor in Turkey, both monitoring Danny Armstrong. So there's serious interest. I think everybody accepts. I think Derek McInnes even accepted that he's going to lose Danny Armstrong at the end of the season.
I think Danny Armstrong's starting to look like a player that
knows
his future is elsewhere. Yeah. Right. Let's get back to where we began the show. I'm going to bring in Michael Gannon. Good evening, Mike.
Evening, chaps.
How are we?
It's a bit of a feast you got there.
Well, it's by the way. Well, the plan is to eat our way through the window, Mick. Very good.
Just use to carry on then, right?
I'm a bit jealous.
Anyway, that's right next to the microphone, wee man.
Listen, fair play. A wee bit jealous. I did so much damage over winter. My dry January needs to last about March or April.
I'd like to tell you this is a flask full of red wine, but unfortunately it's just water. Right, Mick, what you got for us on the Celtic situation? The clock is ticking. There is less than half an hour to the window. Is there any hope for Celtic supporters that they're going to get a surprise dropping onto their laps here?
It'd be nice to be able to say to people, wouldn't it? Listen, hang fire, hold on, don't go to bed yet, keep the kettle boiled and all that stuff. But unfortunately, the noises coming out at Celtic are less optimistic by the second.
Yeah, but they are still saying they're I don't know about you're getting told, Mike, but I'm getting told they're pushing right up until 11 o'clock. They've not chucked it.
Yeah, I think pushing, but in terms of optimism and actually getting over the line, I think it's getting less and less likely. So the noises coming out aren't exactly hold your breath, guys, but sort of hold the back page stuff. So yeah, obviously they've tried a few things over the window, but they've left it kind of late, and it's a wee bit kind of underwhelming for Celtic, isn't it? Really, I mean, it's kind of surprising that there's real danger now of leaving themselves with just one recognised striker for the rest.
They're
of the
going to
season.
feel the heat if that's the case. Because the supporters aren't happy. You can see, I can see that just from the comments that we're getting in here tonight. The supporters aren't happy, Michael.
Yeah, listen, you can't really criticise Celtic too much in terms of transfer activity. They've pocketed £100 million in profits in the last 4 or 5 seasons. They've got a great kind of model that's worked really well for them. They've got plenty of money in the bank. But in the last 3 or 4 windows, they have got a bit dithery, haven't they? They seem to wait to the last minute and to get things done, and it's kind of worked for them previously, but at some point they're going to kind of come a cropper, and it looks like tonight might be that one. Obviously, they've got this Jeffrey kind of Schlupp coming in, who could be the new Aaron Moy, or it could be the new Yusuf Malumbo, couldn't he? It could kind of. I mean, listen, he's an experienced player. 300 games in the Premier League in England, 32.
He's not had much football in the last couple of years, though, has he, mate?
He's not started a game since January 17th last year. So it's a year since he started a match for Palace. This season he's had 16 substitute appearances, but only 1 before the 75th minute. So he's not played full matches for a long, long time. But he has got pedigree. It's amazing to think he was young player of the year at Leicester when they won the league. That's how long ago it was they won the league. It seems like only yesterday, but he was young player of the year. Now he's a veteran. I see him as described as. So you think he'd be a pretty reliable kind of stopgap into the summer till Kieran Tierney comes in. But and you listen, and Jota's great business as well, getting him back for a steal if they're selling for big money. So that's been successful. But letting Kyogo go and not replacing him is very strange. I mean, obviously, and also can Alex Bailly be allowed to go back to Barcelona, then to Como, and not and waiting to get this stopgap in, not getting the Tierney done this window. It all just looks a wee bit kind of dithery. Listen, the caveat is
saying, Mike, I kind of went early, and this time a week ago, I was almost throwing flowers at the Celtic board for the way that they'd managed this window and what I thought they were putting in place, but it just doesn't feel like that now.
Yeah, but listen, even at the weekend, you know how to operate, and you know they leave it late. So I mean, even at the weekend, you're hearing the names getting bouncing about. Obviously, Kvistgaarden's getting about for about a year now. Then you hear Strelec and all that stuff, and Iheanacho getting that move on Sunday that kind of came and gone quite quickly. You think, well, there's obviously wheels are turning, and they do their usual. They'll get 2 or 3 in late, and they'll probably be decent at signings as well. But I say it's a bit of a gamble doing that. I mean, they have gambled quite a lot in recent windows. I think Brendan Rodgers a year ago was talking about how things he'd rather get done early, and he wasn't that convinced about the way they're doing business. But here we are in January, and he can be left with one senior striker. I mean, if Adam Idah pulls a hamstring, who's playing up front against Bayern Munich? I mean, Maida's going to be suspended. So who plays up front against Bayern Munich? If Adam Idah this weekend gets a sore hamstring, who does he play up front? I mean, that's what he's been left with. For a club with what, 80, 90 million pound in the bank, it just seems a bit silly, doesn't it? I think you guys touched on it earlier on. Kyogo's been wanting to move for 6 months. So
you should have been able to get your preparation done.
It was only the other day, Mick, me and Jacko and he were praising Celtic for trying to get their ducks in a row for Champions League qualifiers in the summer. Mm-hmm. But this actually sets them back for that as well, because they're going to need to now have a striker ready to go in the summer. Yeah. And it's a case of the guy that they bring in, is he going to hit the ground running right away? I thought the whole idea was to get the guy in just now. He gets 6 months at it in a pre-season, so he's bang at it for the Champions League qualifiers.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. Listen, there's still the possibility, as we keep saying, Celtic say they're going to push right up to 11 p.m. tonight, but as the clock ticks down, the sort of hope runs out a little bit.
And listen, guys, you know yourselves that the noises as well. There hasn't been the noise that you usually get. I mean, usually you get things popping up. You go and check it. Maybe not much in it. Then you check. Today's been a very, very quiet. I mean, the phone goes and it's an unrecognised number. You think, oh, here we go, and it's. Have you been involved in an accident in the last 6 months? Oh, come on! It's been that kind of day. Honestly, it's been a. Listen, I remember deadline days that some of them be utterly chaotic. I remember one going back years. Remember when Celtic signed Skepovic and Guidetti at midnight on the same window, and it was bonkers. They were chasing day 2, and they were chasing. Remember Kramaric, who went to Leicester. So the 3 strikers at airports all around the continent ended up signing 2 of them. One of them by accident because they didn't mean to sign the 2 of them at the same time. And it was just a bizarre kind of frantic end. So you never know what can happen. But that was the night. It was at extremes, wasn't it? I think they ended up way after midnight, trying to pull out deals and try to get deals done.
Listen, I think the other thing you can say, Michael, is that look at Arsenal. They need a striker. They're going to come at the end of this window without a striker. Manchester United desperate for a striker. They're going to come out the other end of this window without a striker. So. It can be a difficult market.
They're in the 80, 90, 100 million market, and there's only maybe a dozen guys in that market they can go for. Well, Celtic on a 10 million pound market, where there's a lot more, there's a wider base. Do you know what I mean? So
the thing is as well,
really be that hard.
The thing is as well, Michael, that Brendan Rodgers actually said, and he was very strong on it. He says we do have the money, good players are available. And he was playing down this sort of theory that January is a difficult market to shop in. He said, no, it's not. There are good players, they are available, and we do have the money, so I hope there will be signings. That's what he said.
I don't think he'll be happy, Keith, privately, but whether he'll declare it publicly, but I think deep down Brendan Rodgers will be disappointed that they've not managed to get a striker in. Listen, I think across the city, Philippe Clement will be disappointed as well, because he thought he was getting
Well,
somebody.
he came out
somebody
through
in
the
as well.
gauntlet down to his board as well a little bit.
Told them what was necessary. And again, no criticise Rangers' strategy now is know that they're not going to overspend, and that's admirable in many ways. But when the manager clearly puts it out there to the board that he needs a bit of help, now you're not asking for fortunes to be spent. I think Clement will be disappointed, and I think Rodgers equally so at Celtic.
And yet there's still time. And while there's still time, there's still hope. Right, are you surprised, by the way, while we're talking about, he's talking about Rangers, are you surprised that Dessers remains, that there hasn't been any, that's still one possibility that somebody drops a bomb in that, between now and 11pm?
Well, we know there's been interest in the past for MLS clubs.
And interest back in Italy.
And certainly if you were going to go for him, his current form's been pretty decent, so you'd have thought this would have been when teams would have moved. I think Clement will probably be pretty happy that he's still there. As I say, given his kind of recent form, he's contributing again, albeit it's kind of shifted Eagleman to the side a wee bit, which will be interesting when players come back. What happens there? Because I think most Rangers fans see Eagleman as the first choice centre forward. They don't want to see him playing left wing or in behind Dessers. They want to see him up there as a number 9. But as I say, Dessers is contributing at the moment, so I think Clement will be pretty happy that he's still there.
Right. Michael, are you hanging around, or do you have phone calls to make?
For the time being, I think we're still waiting for white smoke and a few things before we get the clatter of the laptop again. So I'm just waiting for the big nod, really.
Good. Okay.
I think this might be a candidate in general. See, the whole January in general, I think it's maybe one of the worst kind of windows, isn't it? Just in terms of general activity. It's been really a quiet month. Maybe a sign of the times.
Quiet, Mick, but I mean, on the Celtic front, it's not really quiet, is it? I mean, sell the star striker, which kind of few would have seen coming. Get Jota back, strike a deal to get Kieran Tierney back. So, I don't know. Maybe Celtic fans, if they looked at that, if they were given that set of circumstances at the start of the window, maybe a lot of Celtic fans might have said that doesn't sound too bad.
Well, I guess the flip side is they're 10 points clear at the top of the league. They've won their trophies. They've achieved their objective of getting to the knockout stages in Europe. And it also seems like Rangers as well, almost like, well, the league's done. Celtic think, the league's done. So what is the point of us emptying our tanks here on loads of money?
I think there's a big element of that from both clubs.
It's almost like everyone declaring their hand and saying, no, this is where we are. What's the point of spending mega dough on maybe risky signings? So yeah, it seems to be a kind of holding pattern a lot across them. These two in particular. I just think Celtic have left themselves a wee bit kind of vulnerable in terms of up front. But that's I think Scott's right. I think Rodgers will be secretly pretty kind of frustrated. I don't think he
didn't
will
want to fall out with anybody.
Well, that means he won't do the kind of the Terminado stuff. Remember the kind of John McGinn? I think you've learned. He did say that he's not going to do the kind of the John McGinn Terminado talk. So I don't think that's going to happen. But he will. He has. He hinted at the weekend. I was there at the weekend. He did say, "Listen, when I come back here, I was kind of back for a reason." And he is ambitious. He wants to keep going. And he always says that you should always leave every window stronger than the last one.
He does.
Is that the case?
That's not the case. It's not the case.
So,
no.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Mick. You raise a really good point. Could you imagine what Brendan Rodgers' reaction would be if there was to be an injury to Adam Eder that left him kind of really short for the first leg against Bayern?
That's what I mean. If he's left having to
got
play,
to wrap him up in cotton wool now, isn't he?
That's the thing. I mean, listen, it can happen. You can have crises and you lose 2 or 3 strikers. You end up. I remember a cup final playing Mikey Johnson up front and all that stuff. And it happens. Teams happens to do it, but that's when you've got 2 or 3 injuries. You're now 1 sore toe away from having no striker for the biggest European game in over a decade. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit. I think when as soon as Kyogo is allowed to go, I think they had to have the next guy lined up to come in, if not the next morning, if possible, because it's an important position in the team, and it does seem just seems a bit silly to get to this stage, doesn't it?
Yeah, Michael, stay there. Then I'm going to bring in colleague Fraser Wilson. Fraser, how are you, pal?
All right, lads, yourself?
Aye, all right, mate. All right. How's the
Yeah,
transfer
just looking
window
at
been
your,
for you?
What's that,
What?
mate?
I said, how's the
I said,
transfer
I'm a
window
bit
been for you?
just looking at your spread there.
Oh, aye, it's been brilliant.
Pizza a lot.
Oh, aye, from Saturday's best transfer window ever.
Aye. Why am I getting pictures of Connor Salmon and his man of the match pizza at Partick Thistle that time? Looking at you two.
Listen, what's your day been like?
It's been a bit salt and sauce, mate. I've been kind of concentrating on the Edinburgh clubs.
Right, and what's been the big news for you?
Mostly
I mean, Hibs have been, yeah.
clearing out the decks. Hibs kind of came into the January window with a bloated squad. They've carried a bloated squad all season, to be fair, but so it was more about clearing out the old than bringing in the new for David Gray. It has only brought in one new signing this month, Alsana Mane Freudenz, a highly rated midfielder, Gambia international. That was done.
Yeah, that seems like a decent signing.
Well, it does. It's maybe hard to see where he fits into this Hibs team, but he's cleared now. He's got his clearance through. He could feature in the Scottish Cup against there on Friday, so we might get a wee glimpse of him there. Told that he's a kind of box-to-box or maybe more of a sitting midfielder, holding midfielder, that came through the Barcelona academy many moons ago. So clearly will have a bit of quality with his feet, good on the ball.
Not a bad pedigree.
Well, I never played first team, did he? A wee bit like Mick coming through the Celtic academy all those years ago. Oh no, it was a different Mick, sorry. But I no.
You just dropped a bombshell there.
I think I get knocked back for a trial at Aberdeen Rovers, as close as I got. That count? I lasted about half. I lasted
That's
two
a decent deadline day
exclusive. That. Yeah, two train sessions at Queen's Park was as far as I got. Two more than me, mate. No, Hibs, in terms of outgoings today, though, it looks like that Harry McCurdy's Leith nightmare is finally at an end. It's still not been confirmed yet, but told he's down at Bromley, just completing crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and the deal to sign for Bromley.
Who's that, Harry McCurdy?
Aye, it's incredible, mate. 2.5 years he's been at Hibs, a striker, and he's not scored a single goal. It's
not a great
unbelievable. Unbelievable stats that. Luke Amos has also been released after a year of not doing very much at Hibs. So that takes their outgoings to a 6, I think. Noah Kenna, Josh O'Connor, Jake Dolly Hayes himself was released. Murray Johnson, the goalkeeper, signed for Queen of the South. So look, they've kind of cut their cloth a wee bit, Hibs. I think they're kind of gearing up towards the summer in terms of refreshing their squad. They're already working towards that. They brought in Garvan Stewart, obviously the head of recruitment. He's come in from Bournemouth.
But they thought they were going to get a couple of quid for Eli Johan, didn't they? And that
was a big one today. Actually, they knocked back a deal, an offer for Stoke that was told would have risen through add-ons to $1.5 million. Blackburn also tried their luck yesterday or over the weekend, but their offer didn't even touch £1 million. So it looks like Hibs clearly holding out for something between 1.5 to 2 million for a guy that's got 18 months left in his deal.
Do we think that? Do we really think they've knocked that back? Or do we think there's been a problem with it?
I'm not sure. I think there might have been an issue with the Eli Johan deal.
I think a lot of money to turn down.
I think that Stoke offer that Fraser's talking about would have been too tempting for Hibs, and I just wonder if there's been not an issue in terms of, I don't know, player negotiation, medical, whatever it's been, but I'd be amazed if Hibs had turned down that kind of money for Johan. And I think that Stoke deal would have been close, but obviously it's hit some kind of snag along the way.
I don't know if it was the makeup of the offer, whether it was well short of the final 1.5 million they say that the add-ons would have taken it to. I don't know if they wanted more up front. But look, this was a guy that they were apparently turning down £2 million offers for at the end of last season from an unnamed French club. So I don't know. He's still got a year and a half left in his deal at Easter Road. He's a bit of an enigma, isn't he?
He's a decent player, Fraser, but I don't think I'd be turning down £2 million.
I totally agree with that. Agree with that. On his day, he's lightning quick. He's excellent, but too many off days, Eli Yoon.
Yeah.
You don't really know what you're getting with him.
I'd have taken that money.
100%.
And Hearts,
Harry
quite
Milne.
quiet.
Good signing.
Yeah, Harry Milne.
Look, that one's been bubbling along for a couple of days now. That they had the first bid rejected over the weekend, but they went in with a better bid, 5-figure bid, plus Ethan Drysdale moving across to Thistle on loan, which was accepted yesterday. So I think anyone that's watched much of the Championship over the last 2 or 3 years will realise Harry Milne is probably one of the best left backs they've played in the Championship in recent years. His story is brilliant. He came through at Cove Rangers when they were still in the Highland League, and he won promotion into League 2 with them, and then won back-to-back promotions into the Championship, which got him his move to Partick Thistle. And he's just continually got better and better and progressed, and now he's living the dream. Was big move to Tynecastle, so interesting to see how he gets on there.
Is there not a story where the boy said when he was playing out in the Highlands that whoever was his captain at the time said to him, "You'll never make it as a player, son."
He said that today. He didn't name who that captain was, but he said he thought he was rubbish. That was the word.
Well,
So,
Jamestown Analytics clearly doesn't agree.
It's funny, Fraz. I'd done a piece with Harry about, it must be about 10 years ago. He was only a kid at the time. It was around Scottish Cup pieces. Now, the kind of day job, I think he worked at the Co-op back at the time.
Yeah.
He was working at the
Studying,
Co-op.
wasn't he?
Aye.
An intelligent lad.
He is a smart kid. I think it was Muller playing back in the day. And he was doing a shift at the Co on the Friday night before the game or something like that.
I'll tell you what, Mick, go through all your old notebooks and see who his captain was back then, would you? Name and shame this guy that clearly doesn't know a good left back when he sees one.
I think who'd have been at Cove back in those days. I can't remember. But 10 years ago, maybe.
Well, he's not as smart as the
Scottish Cup, by the way.
supercomputer.
My one and only Scottish Cup appearance came against Cove, but they were still a Highland League club back then as well. A big guy, Keith Milne, I think he was the captain. Striker, Keith Milne.
Stuart Duff was there at that time, I think. He just when he's ended his career.
Aye.
It wouldn't have been Stuart Duff saying that. Stuart Duff's a good guy. He wouldn't have said something like that to him.
What is this? Is this your version of Still Game or something? You're sending people to sleep, Pierre. There's a transfer window.
Fraz, I see Hearts have just announced. Hearts have just announced in the last 20 minutes that Malachi Boateng's away to Plymouth. What do you think? I think that's a blow. I mean, listen, it obviously fits the Hearts model. I mean, Jack was talking about Jamestown. No, they bring him in from I think it was Crystal Palace. So he'd been lower at Queen's Park. They probably bring him in a really low fee, but they've got. I don't doubt that they've said it's an undisclosed fee, but they've made a few quid on him. I like Boateng. I think he'll be a loss.
This whole Hearts plan's starting to come together, isn't it?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, before we talk about Boateng, I don't know what you think. I think one of the best signs this January window has been Cabangu. I think he looks the real deal, by the way. Honestly, we interviewed him a few weeks ago when he signed. And that way you just get a feeling about a player, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself. You look at his record, his pedigree, his physique. I remember looking at him thinking he'll be perfect for Scottish football. His 2 goals on Saturday at Dens Park were outstanding. And I think he's going to be a brilliant signing for it. And by the way, I think Neil Critchley's already said he'd love to get him on a permanent. I think he said that after the game on Saturday. But the danger is if he keeps banging goals in, like he did on Saturday, there's going to be clubs all over him. No, with all due respect, maybe bigger clubs than Hearts, and that might be an issue for them.
Just laughing. I say Still Game. William Sloan watching on YouTube. More like Last of the Summer Wine.
Last of the Buckfast wine.
Aye.
Boateng, you're right. Boateng was probably the standout player, wasn't he, at the start of the season, Scotty, when he arrived. But remember, Hearts were toiling. Hearts were struggling back then. And since they dropped out of the starting 11 just before Christmas, they've gone in this really strong run that's driven them up the table. So he wasn't going to win his place back easily there. Cammy Devlin's back in the starting lineup. So considering they've made, I think they're not far off, probably 200 or 300 grand they've made on Boateng today for Plymouth. Add that to the fact another summer signing, Daniel Oyegoke, left for 700,000. You know, there's 2 summer signings they brought in for nothing that they've made no far off £1 million on in a matter of months.
And that's the model, isn't it?
That's a brilliant bit of dealing for Hearts. So I think they've actually had the strongest
David, the strongest January window at the whole Premiership, I would say, because I totally agree with Kabangu. He's been sensational. 5 goals in 3 or 4 games, isn't it?
Well, it was always going to be exciting to see what Jamestown looks like in practice.
I would like to think
and
that
the first impressions are it looks pretty good.
I'd like to think there are no odd Jamestown signings away. I mean, Jamie McCart, everyone knows his attributes. Harry Milne, surely he's been in the radar long before Jamestown came in. But absolutely, Kabangu's a Jamestown signing because he came from USG in Belgium, didn't he? Who also used that model. So he has been the pick of the bunch, and the Scot says perhaps even the best signing of the window. So fair play.
I see Falkirk are teasing us here, Jacko, with a tweet picture of the stadium saying all roads lead back home.
Scott Arfield, doesn't
Got to be,
it?
isn't it?
Announce Arfield.
Got to be.
Fraser, thank you very much for joining us, mate. I'll
No problem.
I'll let you go and get your jammies on and get a nice night's kip.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your pizza, lads.
We will.
Am I not escaping as well here? Am I just held captive here?
You've been given the deal of looking after the Celtic breaking news, have you not?
Yeah, you're going to confirm the big striker deal,
And
Mick.
as one of our viewers here, Ken, watching on Facebook Live, don't panic. 360 seconds still to go. Keep the faith.
Somebody just texted me, said, I've just seen Robbie Keane heading towards the car park, but I think they might be taking a mickey.
In that brief interlude, while we were discussing all things Edinburgh there with Fraser, anything, Mick? Any further indications of anything happening?
Listen, we know what's happening. He's getting these social media stuff done and all that. Be getting just waiting for the white smoke. So yeah, but we're talking about.
You're talking about Jeffrey Schlupp?
Yeah, just Jeffrey Schlupp. Yeah,
on the striker.
Striker talk. No, that looks like unless there's like I mentioned that Gudetti Skepovic very, very, very last minute scramble. Yeah, it looks like that's going to be a big no-no. So yeah, it's a bit of damp squib in that respect for Celtic. It'll be Jeffrey Schlupp doing his social media stuff.
Right, so the Celtic media team will be busy getting that one ready for online, I guess. Look, do you know what? If they do magic a striker out of thin air, that is really now magic and one out of thin air.
It's looking unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah, Michael, what's your expectations then that in the next 5 minutes or so Celtic will announce Schlupp and that'll be it? Window over, business done?
I think so. Like I say, unless there's some sort of last minute miracle, and then the next few days will be trying to persuade fans it's all right. It's no big deal. Because I say that Celtic are in decent shape. Let's be honest, the league's almost there for them. And they've done the job in Europe, but that still doesn't mean that the partners don't expect them to continue to move forward. And this window might be seen as like a slight step back.
It will be interesting to see what Brendan Rodgers says in his first press conference.
The other thing as well, Mick, is getting Schlupp in, as I say, it's a good short-term signing, but it actually doesn't really solve the whole left-back position, if you like, because
kick the can down the road, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we know Tierney's coming in, and he'll come in as first choice, and you need to hope Kieran Tierney's steers clear injury. He's fit at the moment. You would hope he comes in the summer and he gets back in. Obviously, the Celtic's first choice left back. Schlupp, there's no obligation. It's just a straight loan. Not a 32-year-old. You'd imagine he would go back. I know he's out of contract, so he would go elsewhere in the summer. You'd imagine. And then you've got this Greg Taylor situation, which is ongoing, where the club are speaking to Greg Taylor about a new deal. Brendan
You think
Rodgers.
Greg Taylor's away, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. I think he'll be away in the summer. I mean, listen, there was a chance that he'd have went in this window if Tierney had come in on loan, because I just don't think Greg Taylor, quite rightly, would be willing to sit and be Celtic's second choice left back, having established himself as the first choice. Won leagues, won trophies, played Champions League. So that's the whole Tierney thing has had a major impact on the negotiations over an extension for Greg Taylor. And he's now, because of what he's done the last few years, I know for a fact he's now got clubs in Europe No, Dinamo Zagreb has been mentioned. Trabzonspor's been mentioned. I mean, Zagreb are really keen on him. Obviously, Cannavaro's manager there, which would be an attraction in itself. I said at the weekend, Lecce in Italy are interested because they're going to sell their left back to Man United, Dorgu. And I think the latest one's Panathinaikos, another big European club. And from what I hear, if Greg Taylor goes, he'd like to go to Europe. I don't think staying in the UK is appealing to him at the moment. So he's got loads of interest there, and I'd expect Taylor to go in the summer. Which I go back to the point. So Tierney comes in as first choice, but if Schlupp goes, obviously they've let Valle go in this window. It still doesn't solve the left back position because they're going to need somebody there with Tierney, and I don't think it'll be Greg Taylor as backup.
What happens, Scott, if a big offer comes in from America for Greg Taylor? I mean, I know there's been a few clubs in MLS that have interest as well. Their window's open till April.
Yeah, and that would appeal to him as well.
So what happens if a big juicy contract lands in his lap for the MLS?
Let me just point out, Michael, that our window is officially closed.
Yeah, 1 minute past.
And so...
Is it like the Bells? Do you get a whiskey?
No, but you can get a crisp and a bit of pizza if you're in here, mate.
And Falkirk have just announced Scott Arfield.
They have.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Right, okay. So we're all right about that. So it's, now it's just a case of...
Celtic have finally announced Schlupp on loan to the end of the season. So right on the button. Celtic official. That's done and dusted.
Right, okay. So we figured that one. And I think, Michael, at this moment in time, where are we? 2 minutes past 11. I guess we'd need to say that the chances of Celtic signing a striker appear to be marginal, if any.
Well, I'm just going to make my final sweep of calls and find out if that's the case, and then we'll know for sure. But it looks the case. Looks like it's passed without the striker that they were hoping for. So
we'll hear from Brendan Rodgers
tomorrow
pretty quickly, won't we?
Just thinking, Scott. So was it they're saying his box office Brendan this season? I think it'll be box office tomorrow. Yeah. The day after deadline day. So that'll be interesting, won't it?
I think what he said previously, though, he's not going to pick a fight, is he? He's not going to go in with all guns blazing and say he's been let down. He's not going to.
But you'll be able to tell.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell his demeanour, his comments.
Yeah.
I think it's
because he's got a pre-match ahead of the game against Dundee.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow. So it will be fascinating to see how he handles that. He's obviously going to be asked about it, and quite clearly, unless there is something that we don't know yet in terms of a striker, quite clearly he is coming out of this window tooled up slightly less than he was when he went into it.
Yeah, I thought his comments at Motherwell and yesterday. I thought I wasn't saying that he was kind of setting it up for a kind of a quiet final window, but it did kind of almost preemptively did say, listen, if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to follow it MD or follow it myself or all that stuff. So it was kind of setting that wee caveat, wasn't he, yesterday? That I get the impression yesterday. I thought it doesn't sound that optimistic, really, and it looks so that's the way it's transpired. But he's clearly going to be frustrated. He wants to keep the foot down, doesn't he? And he might feel that he might have to kind of just get by to the summer. But he's got a £9 million striker on the books, remember, as well. He's the only one.
He has, but see that £9 million striker, he wouldn't have started against Bayern Munich, and if Kyogo was still.
That's a fair point.
Do you know what I mean?
No.
That's the bottom line. And look, no many are giving Celtic a chance against Bayern over 2 legs, but you want to be at your absolute best getting into that game with your top players available. Your first choice lineup, as you say, with Maida already suspended. That's a body blow. The thought of them then obviously being without Kyogo and no other striker in. I just think you hit the nail on the head earlier on. I mean, if anything happens to either, Rodgers will be absolutely raging. I think that they've not managed to get anybody in, even if it was a loan to the end of the season. just to help them out in the striking area. But to leave them with only Ida and Johnny Kenny and a couple of young kids, I think if you'd have said that to Brendan Rodgers at the start of this window, he wouldn't have been happy with it.
Yeah, you can see the Celtic fans aren't very happy here. Some comments, Slonia on you watching live on YouTube. Yet another window that we have made a profit in player trading. This is the model, not European ambition. Followed quickly by John Watt.
Just a confirmation, all done. Celtic's transfer window has been pulled down shut. There's not going to be any late post whistle drama. It's all done. Celtic
John Watt, profit above ambition from the Celtic board. Mick, do you know what? We'll finish off on that because that's going to be the story now, isn't it, for the next few days? The Celtic fans, they're expressing quite a bit of frustration.
It's amazing.
Anger.
It's amazing the contrast, though, the two Glasgow clubs. The Celtic fans, they're wanting to spend. No, we need to spend money. We need to spend the Kyogo money. We need to get another striker, and we need to tool up for Bayern Munich. Whereas Rangers, I think there's almost a kind of acceptance now with Rangers fans that
they're not playing for anything.
They're just not going to spend. They're just not going to spend unless they're getting absolute value for money. And there's clearly, you listen to Clement.
I don't know. Is it not symptomatic of a Rangers support that have given up in the season, Scott?
No,
I suppose I ain't going to write up a paper here, so I'll see you later on, right? I'm smashing through editions, so I need to go and find my lot. All you do is your pizza and your gabbing.
Matt Gannon, thank you very much, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Cheers, mate.
Night.
Night.
I don't think so, Jacko, with Rangers fans. I think, listen, the league's gone, that there's an acceptance of that, but...
So what are the Rangers fans hoping to play for?
I think there's a bit of optimism about Europe, obviously. I think getting into the last 16...
They don't think they're going to win the Europa League. Or by the way, is there that... could this be another long shot, another kind of run to deep into that tournament?
I don't need fans for them to win it, but when you look at the potential opponents in the last 16, no, there's a real chance they could get into the last 8, and then after that, who knows? I just mean in terms of the money. I think you're seeing I think the narrative now amongst a lot of Rangers fans is, well, look, no, play the young players. Of course, listen, I think Clement wanted at least another one in. I mean, the irony is they've brought Rafa Fernandez in as cover at centre back because a few weeks ago they were so short on defensive cover. But with John Souttar coming back,
now they've got about six. They're going to have 6 centre backs.
And Siala emerging, they probably didn't even need Fernandez.
Yeah.
What Rangers need is pace. I think middle to front. Mm-hmm. I think they needed a central midfielder, a kind of strong, powerful central midfielder, and I think they need a wide player with pace, which they've not got. I don't think. I mean, we're talking about Zach Lovelace going. He wasn't a regular Rangers first teamer, but even for the bench, he's quick. Mm-hmm. So he gives you something a wee bit different. There's zero pace now in the Rangers attack. I mean, the Eagerman, no too bad. Tierney's got a wee bit, but no searing pace. And I think Rangers fans would have wanted that, but clearly, despite what Clement said, where he can almost goaded the board a wee bit by saying I've told them what's necessary.
I thought they'd go for a winger, I must admit. I thought they'd go for a winger. That hasn't happened. So, do you know what? It has been an eventful hour or so, Scott. There has been a bit, I mean, it's, put it this way, we're not sitting in here with tumbleweed blowing past the desk.
There might not have been a lot of big signings, but there's been a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So thanks for joining me. And thanks to all of you at home for coming through the window with us. It's been a lot of fun, and thanks for all your comments, guys, on social media. I should point out before we go, the Daily Record YouTube page has now got over 100,000 subscribers. So thanks very much to you guys for playing your part in that. And we'll be back 6 p.m. tomorrow, and by then we'll have found out exactly what Brendan Rodgers does think about Celtic's lack of activity in this transfer window. Cheers people. Thanks, Scott.